We hope you have joined us so far on this trip and enjoyed this entry with Air France's regional connection carrier HOP in business class, a flight we were never supposed to take. So as I mentioned at the end of our Eurowings video wrap-up, we had another run-in with Europe's low-cost carriers later in our trip, and this was that occasion. We were supposed to fly after we dropped off the car down to Venice to take an overnight train to Paris with EasyJet. We had booked the flight, of course, months in advance, a very inexpensive ticket, and the morning that we were supposed to go return the car and head over to the airport for the flight, which was in the late afternoon, we received notification that it had been canceled. But we looked online and saw there was a later flight available with Eurowings. So we figured we'd go ahead and book that again and went on with our day. When we went to go drop the car off, we received a notice that this flight also with Eurowings had now been canceled. So I headed over to the Venice airport website to see if there were a bunch of cancellations, and the only two I could find on the whole board for that day, by my memory, was the two flights from Stuttgart. One of the benefits of low-cost carriers, which can become an issue, is that they don't operate with a traditional hub and spoke model. They fly point to point between various airports, secondary airports in their operation, and that allows them to serve many destinations that aren't served by traditional airlines in that fashion. When this becomes an issue is like in this situation where a flight gets canceled. They have very few options, really in this case no options, to assist you besides waiting for the next available flight, which might be 1 or 2 days later. And so that was really not working for us. Unfortunately, by the time we got our second cancellation notice, there were no other options to get us to Venice in time to get to our hotel or even for our train the next day. We just ended up having to change course and head directly to Paris. And thankfully, I called our trip insurance company, just verified that we would be covered for having a trip interruption and missing the hotel and the trip on the train and all that, and that they wouldn't actually also cover our flight to Paris as part of this, because the only option that was available on the flight to Paris in the evening, they were both business class tickets, which were exorbitantly expensive. This is why I said in that last video that I would avoid low-cost carriers in the future, particularly on a tight deadline, because I really did get left high and dry here and missed out on an opportunity to take a trip I'd wanted to take. And apart from getting the money back, you still can never get the time back. So what can you do? But come along with us on what ended up being a lovely flight. We headed to Stuttgart Airport, where we had planned originally to find the Priority Pass accessible lounge. However, now with our business class ticket, we had access to Air France's dedicated lounge shared with KLM, located above the terminal and reached by elevator. The hallway interconnecting the lounge and containing the common restroom facilities had a strong, damp smell, which thankfully did not extend into the lounge. The lounge itself was a small, single-room affair with all the basic essentials: Wi-Fi, power, seating, a computer desk area, and some self-service food and drinks. We didn't have long to wait and wanted to be at the gate to take advantage of our priority boarding and to make sure our carry-ons made it above us on this completely full flight. This was my first flight on an Embraer E-Jet since starting this channel, and it has quickly become one of my favorite aircraft to fly on. Since we booked the last 2 seats available on the plane, we were in 2 aisle seats, row 4, C and D. The E170 only offers 2x2 seating. This business class did not even feature a block seat. So apart from lounge access, baggage, and priority boarding, we were not sure what was even going to justify selling business class on this aircraft. Early signs were not good, just a different colored red leather on the fixed headrest and a small cabin dividing curtain. As I had a few moments without a neighbor, I had a look through the seat on the ground. This is a basic modern airline slimline design with a good-sized tray table. I do appreciate the dedicated magazine storage on these types of seats, which leaves the lower pocket open for personal items exclusively. Although you would want to be careful not to get cords tangled up in the mesh weave fabric. The seats feature a small coat hook and Embraer's large airy windows that have recently been overshadowed by the A220. Air France, unlike British Airways, actually offers additional legroom for business class passengers. No need here to attempt to adjust the non-existent headrest, However, I will forgive that for such a short flight. I got a chuckle out of the old "No Electronic Devices" sign lit up on the overhead panel. How quickly have we all forgotten the days of having every electronic device off from the door closing to getting to cruising altitude. We had a quick look in the cockpit, and then it was time to get in the air. Since this was a westbound flight, we basically chased the sunset for most of the short, just under 500 kilometer, 305 mile flight. Service began with a prepackaged towel that was actually of surprisingly good quality. Being this flight was so short, and I had no expectations of Hop's service levels, I was amazed when the single flight attendant for our cabin started bringing out meal trays. The E-Jet series lacks galley ovens, so meals on board are served cold. However, this was an amazing quantity of food, elegantly presented with a cloth napkin, metal cutlery, and a real drinking glass. Not only that, but the quality of the ingredients and flavor was excellent. Even though there was only one option, each tray included a printed menu in French and English, a nice touch. Tonight we were having guinea fowl, something I likely never would have had in my life. Go online and look for a photo of one. Pretty interesting. But it was absolutely cooked to perfection, juicy, tender, served over a bed of onion chutney, with a citrus quinoa side dish, cheese plate, rounded off by a duo of perfect petite desserts. This by far beat my British Airways Club Europe meal and any U.S. domestic first-class meal I've had. Way to go, Air France! As we continued to chase the sun, I worked on polishing off my plates. Upon approach into Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport, the sky finally darkened, and we prepared for a remote stand disembarkation once on the ground. Overall, I ended up being thrilled with my last-second decision to fly Air France's HOP service. Thanks to travel insurance, it ended up not costing me anything. Come back next week as we finish off our trip in the City of Lights and return home in American Airlines Premium Economy cabin on the 777-200. In the meantime, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Click the notification bell so you can be made aware when new content is available. Thanks for watching.